Have you ever woken up feeling fantastic, full of energy, clear-headed, ready for the day, only to find your sleep tracker says you had a terrible night? Or the reverse, your wearable announces excellent recovery and an outstanding sleep score, but you feel drained and foggy? Who's right? You or the device? This is one of the most important conversations in modern health tech. Smart rings, watches, sleep trackers, and recovery monitors are everywhere now. Millions use them daily. Yet a key question remains: how accurate are they? Let's start with a simple truth. Humans are bad at measuring sleep. That surprises many. After all, who knows your sleep better than you? The reality is more complicated. Sleep happens while we're unconscious, and unconscious people aren't reliable observers. Research shows we often misjudge how long we slept, how often we woke up, how deep our sleep was, and how restorative it felt. People who insist they barely slept sometimes actually slept for hours. Others who think they slept well had very fragmented sleep. Our sense of sleep is imperfect, and that's part of why trackers became popular. The promise was irresistible. Wear a device, sleep, and wake up with objective data. No guessing, just answers. How long you slept, how much deep or REM sleep you got, how often you woke, how recovered you are. It sounded revolutionary, and in many ways it was. But there's a catch. Most consumer wearables don't measure sleep directly. They estimate it. Think about that. A wearable can't see your dreams, observe consciousness, or measure sleep stages the way a sleep lab can. Instead, it looks for clues: heart rate, movement, breathing, skin temperature, heart rate variability, oxygen trends, and uses algorithms to infer what's happening. In other words, it makes an educated guess. A very smart guess, but still a guess. To understand why this matters, meet the gold standard: polysomnography. In a sleep lab, researchers place electrodes on your scalp to record brain waves, track eye movements, measure muscle activity, monitor breathing, record heart signals, and check oxygen levels. This gives a detailed picture of sleep. Compared to that standard, consumer devices are imperfect. That said, imperfection doesn't mean useless. Many wearables perform remarkably well, especially for things like sleep duration, timing, general patterns, resting heart rate, HRV, activity trends, and recovery patterns. The problem comes when we expect perfection, something no device and not even sleep labs can fully deliver. Physiology is messy and variable. Measurements improve but are never flawless. A wearable is more like a compass than a crystal ball. It doesn't have to be perfect to be helpful. It just needs to point in the right direction. Deep sleep has become almost mythical. People obsess over it, celebrate it, fret about it, and compare numbers. Yet estimating deep sleep is hard. Different devices may report wildly different amounts: 90 minutes, 60, 120. Which is right? Maybe none, maybe all. The exact number matters less than we think. Trends matter far more. This is the most important lesson. Stop obsessing over single numbers. Focus on patterns. Biology talks in trends, not in isolated events. One bad night means little. 5 weeks of declining sleep tells a story. One low HRV is noise. A month-long downward trend is information. One poor recovery score is just a blip. Repeated poor scores form a pattern you can act on. That leads to orthosomnia, a new phenomenon where people become so fixated on perfect sleep scores that they actually sleep worse. Lying in bed worrying about deep sleep or readiness or HRV creates anxiety that disrupts sleep. Chasing numbers instead of health is counterproductive. The goal should be better health, not perfect data. One of the healthiest questions you can ask is, does this data match how I feel? If your wearable says you slept poorly but you feel great, pay attention to both signals. If it says you're fully recovered but you feel terrible, listen to both. The magic happens when objective data and subjective experience work together, not when one replaces the other. That's why the most exciting development in wearable science is the shift from tracking to interpretation. For years, devices focused on collecting data: sleep scores, heart rates, steps, recovery metrics. The future belongs to interpretation. Understanding patterns, linking sleep to stress, recovery to performance, travel to fatigue, behavior to biology. Data alone won't change your health. Understanding will. Imagine two people with the same sleep scores. The first ignores them. The second notices patterns. Poor sleep follows late night screen time. Recovery improves after morning sunlight. HRV rises when alcohol drops. That person learns, adapts, and improves. The difference wasn't the tech, it was interpretation. At OXYZEN, this idea is central to health intelligence. And it's not just about measuring biology, it's about understanding it, helping people see why sleep, recovery, or stress change. Because the goal isn't dependence on technology, it's awareness of your own physiology. Technology reveals patterns, you decide what to do. So if you wear a sleep tracker, remember, it may not know exactly how much REM or deep sleep you had. It may sometimes be wrong. That doesn't make it useless. The true value isn't perfect precision, it's perspective. The ability to spot trends, recognize patterns, and learn from your biology. That's where real health intelligence starts, not with perfect data, but with better understanding. Next time your tracker surprises you, don't immediately ask, "Is this number correct?" Ask instead, What is this trend trying to tell me? Your wearable isn't a judge, a doctor, or a fortune teller. It's a tool, and used wisely, it can be one of your most powerful tools for understanding your health. I'm Dr. Yende. Thank you for joining me for another episode of OXYZEN Health Intelligence. Remember, the future of health isn't about collecting more data. It's about learning to interpret the data we already have. I'll see you in the next episode.